A student asked the anthropologist Margaret Mead what was the earliest sign of civilization. And she said, a healed femur, because that showed compassion had been extended. In the law of the land, the law of the jungle, somebody stopped to care for another who was hurting, and that was the first sign of civilization. And that kindness is possibly the best illustration of Christianity. Kindness. All right? Kindness is a sign of Christianity. The theologian William Barclay said, more people have been brought into the church by the kindness of Christian love than by all the theological arguments ever made. Makes sense. Kindness has its own language, its own power. And so, the root meaning of the word kindness is to supply what is needed. Kindness is caring for others, to show interest in somebody else's well-being and happiness. Okay? Christianity is not satisfied by simply offering words of encouragement that help. This is what James says in James chapter 2. What good is it if I say, I pray for you, God bless you, and I don't do anything for you? Faith without works is dead. You put your faith into motion, and that motion is called kindness. I think the Good Samaritan story is a great indication of what kindness looks like. The religious people were, a couple of them were busy to get to their place, their appointment, their duty, and then the Samaritan comes wandering in, finds the gentleman who's been robbed and beaten, and stops, is inconvenienced for his needs, invests financially to bring him back to health. That is kindness. And this is the story Jesus told. That basically a lot of people think he is the Good Samaritan in that story. He is the one who comes and meets our needs. He is the one who cares for us, who is inconvenienced, who provides for our future healing. Okay? And kindness is not just a smile, it's love in action. And it's in action with people that you might not like, people that are different from you, people that are scary to you. Okay? Kindness. It's when you let God reach through you to touch somebody else. And Jesus came to earth with a divine agenda to address the sin problem. We all were trapped in sin that brought forth death. Death was not what God had in mind. He had everlasting life with Him. And so He came and provided a way for us. And Jesus, therefore, is the personification of kindness. I just want you to see it clearly. I'm saying it for the second time so that I can just draw it out here. Okay? He healed the sick, fed the hungry, cast out demons. Okay? He's kind because He knows that we're struggling. And this is a challenge. I had a situation the other day where somebody dropped the ball with an opportunity to extend forgiveness. And, I thought, well, the ramifications are going to be... And my wife stepped in and said, no, let's not jump to the ramifications. Let's fill in the gap with some Christianity. It's good to be married to somebody like that, all right? To say, let's put a little Jesus, a little kindness, a little patience, give some people need a little more time to get it right. And so we need to extend that opportunity, okay? I think it's powerful that Jesus is patient and kind with our struggles. I think kindness is one of the most beautiful things on earth. One time a cosmetic company was sponsoring a promotion, and they wanted to find, they offered submissions for the most beautiful woman on earth. All right? So, submissions were coming in, and then they got this one submission from a kid. You could tell it was a kid by his handwriting. He goes, "This is the most beautiful woman on earth. And she listens to me when I have problems. And she feeds me when I'm hungry. And she's kind to me when I'm struggling." And it was the picture of a neighbor in a wheelchair, missing teeth, and just hair pulled back with lots of wrinkles and a fun smile. And it was kind of neat because the manager of the promotion, the president of the company, said, "We can't use this entry because it would show the world that our product isn't needed." Okay. Because the most beautiful person on earth is actually, somebody that shows kindness. There's a beauty and attractiveness that's completely unrelated to physical appearance called kindness. Somerset Maugham's mother was extraordinarily beautiful, and she married a very average, almost ugly man. And they asked, "So why would you choose that person as your partner?" And she said, "He has never once hurt my feelings." So sometimes what we care about is a little bit deeper than the choice we made when we got married. Okay? "She looks good to me," Samson said, right? It didn't work out for him. Sometimes you're looking for something a little deeper. And I don't know. This one boy came home and a homeless person was there, and he said, "How come he's here?" And the young man, the homeless person said, "Well, your mom found me and cared for me." And she said, "Oh, somebody else would have done the same thing." And he said, "No, I didn't look for you. You looked for me." And suddenly now we're stepping into the deeper recesses of kindness. Kindness is when we're looking for the opportunity to extend Christianity, when we take the initiative, when we see the need and strive to meet us. It's about being proactive. And here's where it gets challenging for Christians. We're called to be kind to our enemies. The folks who hurt us and curse us and discredit us and talk about us behind our backs and don't apologize for the wrong that we've done. When you are kind to those people, now you're acting just like the Heavenly Father. Now you're taking on the character of God. Now you're putting into motion the heart, the nature of Jesus Christ. Okay? My dad used to hold the door open for somebody, then he would say to me, "Well, I got my good deed for the day done." All right? He held the door open. And, sometimes we pat ourselves on the back. We've become desensitized to injustice and poverty and misfortune. We think that, we've carried out our spiritual duty by doing the bare minimum. And, I don't know. We've given really nothing except, pleasant company. I remember one of the worst things that ever happened is when they said those homeless people that stand out on the corners asking for help, that they're actually, many of them are professionals and they make a good living doing that. And so I hear that and I'm like, well, I don't know if you're a professional. How do I know you're not just playing the system? How do I know that you're not just, this is your job? And so suddenly now I have a barrier between just being kind to people. I have to think about, worry about, am I being taken advantage of? Is this a shyster? And here's how you deal with that. 1 Corinthians 13, love believes all things. It's between that person and God. And my giving is between me and God. So that's how it works. And I don't know. Let's go back to the character of God. This is where kindness is rooted. In Psalm 145:8, the Lord is gracious and compassionate, slow to anger and rich in love. And the purpose of God's kindness is to lead people into a relationship with Him. And that's what He's after. And you and I have the assignment and the job description to help people get connected to Him. And sometimes we use words, but how often is our kindness, the forgiveness we extended, the grace that we release, the factor more than the theology? I think so. Think about Hosea. He's this radical illustration in the Bible of God says, I want you to marry that adulterous woman, that prostitute. And he's like, huh? And he does, and then she cheats on him and has children with other men. And God says, okay, go back and remarry her. And she's on the slave block, and he's getting outbid for his own wife. And finally, he gets the bid and brings her home. And God does this shocking story to say, this is who you have been to me, and this is how I feel about you. And God brings this shocking story to our minds because He wants you to understand that's how far we should be willing to go. That's the kind of attitude we should be willing to have for people that are unworthy and outside the lines. And I remember once this person had drifted into Satan worship and the occult. And I, boom, said, well, that person's on the other side. And God said, oh no, that's not. And He immediately brought to mind all the different times in the Scriptures where Satan worshipers were brought back to the Lord. And I thought, okay, never give up. I'm willing to cut them off there. Somebody else is willing to cut somebody off, Oh, you're a same-sex person. Oh, you're a Baptist. Oh, you're whatever it might be. I believe that the Nazarene church was started over an argument about the length of a woman's dress. Okay? Did it cover the ankles or not? Unbelievable. An entire denomination launched because of, could you imagine those guys in our society today? They would have a heart attack. Okay? And let's think about something. There's a practicality to being kind. Wilson Miser said, always be kind to people on the way up because you'll meet them on the way down. Okay? There's a little fun here in that, if your words are soft and sweet, then they won't be as hard to swallow if you have to eat them. There's a tit for tat. There's a cycle in life. You have your moment, and then you fall back into, anonymity. And hopefully you use your moment for the grace of God, not for your own promotion. It's kind of funny. One time, Mr. Rogers, somebody stole his car. Can you believe it? And so, I think this was in Philadelphia, and everybody's all upset. Oh my gosh, Mr. Rogers' cars got stolen. And so it goes out over the airwaves, and, somebody stole Mr. Rogers' car, and the guy that stole the car goes, oh, Mr. Rogers, I like Mr. Rogers. I used to watch him when I was a kid, So he brought the car back, said, sorry, if I'd known it was you, I wouldn't have stole your car. Okay? And notice his influence of kindness caused the thief to return the car. Your influence of kindness is powerful. And it's contagious, okay? Social scientists have discovered that it's not only when we feel good on the inside we smile, but if you choose to smile, you can change the way you feel on the inside. If you give yourself a talking to, well, you sure seem like a Debbie Downer right now, William. Why don't you change your attitude and focus on the things that are going right? Focus on the ways God has blessed you. Focus on the hope that you have as you go forward. And suddenly your demeanor changes. And not only your demeanor. When I walk to grocery stores, I will smile intentionally, and I guarantee that people will start smiling. It's just a fun little experience that I've had and noticed it's a regular occurrence. People respond to your smile with the smile. Choose not to smile, and that person will pass you with no smile. And if you meet them out at the checkout stand, they'll smile at you again. Okay? It's just a contagious situation. How about this one? The missionary Hudson Taylor. If your father or mother or sister or brother or spouse, or if the cat or dog in your house are not happier for you being a Christian, then the question is, are you really a Christian? And this one's a little bit of an ouch. Is your Christianity spilling out on the people around you? Is it seen by the people close to you? All right? So, I don't know. One woman was suing her husband for divorce, and she told the judge she'd done the best she could to get her husband to change his ways, but he wasn't going to change. The judge asked, have you tried being kindness? Because the Bible says it's like heaping hot coals upon your enemy. And she said, no, that won't work. I've already tried scalding water. And yeah, sometimes you can get a relationship so far broken that it's doesn't work. But sometimes you can save that relationship by stopping the scalding and the scolding and replacing it with the encouraging and the kindness. Maybe with our children, maybe with friends we've lost, maybe with the spouse you keep arguing with. I don't know. You could change the atmosphere at home. You could change the atmosphere in a relationship. You could change the atmosphere at church for somebody. Positive or negative. It's really up to you. Well, the psychologists tell us that we get our self-worth from looking through the eyes of the person that we love and value the most. And this is powerful. So, the vibe you release can impact somebody's self-worth, positive or negative. Well, kindness. It's not just a sweet disposition. It comes from the heart. It's a tender concern for others. The soul, spirit, heart is involved because it's the soul, spirit, and heart of Jesus Christ being released. Very important that you realize that's what you're putting into motion. Okay? Very important. I think sometimes kindness is being helpful. I heard a story one time. This woman in Green Bay, her car got flipped over, and some guy pulled over, flipped it back up. Turned out to be the star of the Green Bay Packers team. Pulled over, helped this girl, kept going. And you would think, well, I'm the star. I got the big bucks. Somebody else will do it. But when you're a Christian, you think differently. This is my opportunity. He didn't think about, I could get injured in this moment. He thought, I have the strength to do this. It's a poor woman by herself. Let me help. Christians think differently. Remember when they had random acts of kindness as a big deal back a couple decade or so ago? Okay. It didn't really work because it's an outward act, and kindness is an outward act that stems from the inside of you. It's kind of like missions. There's two ways to do missions. You can feed people's bodies, and they need to be fed. You can clothe them, they need to be clothed. But we're also called to bring Jesus to them. And it's easy for missions to stop with the body and forget the imperativeness of the soul. And so it's just something that you notice over time. It's something that you notice over different ministries. It's something that you notice at different churches. Something that you notice. We're not just trying to heal the body, we're trying to affect the soul. And by showing kindness to the body, boom, it opens up a conversation for the soul. It was always the argument, do you give them the gospel first and then feed them? Or do you feed them so that they can then hear the gospel? Just stuff that you had to work through when you were young and trying to get it right as a pastor. Well, all I can tell you is God reacted to our badness with His kindness. And we didn't earn it. We weren't worthy of it. But somehow God cared for us. And let me have a little bit of fun with you here. In the Greek, the word for Christ is Christos, and the word for kindness is Christos. One letter different. I think that's fun. And you know, when I was thinking about this, you kind of forgot about the power of kindness. You kind of overlooked the fact that when you have faith and hope and love, this kindness is possibly the core catalyst for our love and our faith and our hope. Remember, in Matthew 25, the separation from the sheep and the goats. Okay? Jesus didn't accuse them of being mean. It's just that they never saw the opportunity to be kind to somebody. The goats. The sheep, they saw the moment. They saw people in need. Well, I guess I want to leave you with the challenge. It's a challenge that I was given in seminary. We had to take a test in our ethics class. What's the name of the janitor in our seminary? Okay, now in the halls of academia, believe me, the last person you care about is the janitor. Now, in the halls of seminary academia, there should be a difference. Now, I'm the kind of guy that likes the janitor. I'm the kind of guy that usually needs the janitor. I'm the kind of guy that relates to the janitor. I was the only guy that got his name right. Okay? And it's not because I was so holier than thou. It's just that my disposition in life was, hey, what's going on? You know, I like janitors. It was kind of fun. I still got a B in the class, but I got, an A on that one. And I guess it's you not overlooking somebody. And this one always frightens me because I don't overlook people because I'm better than them, but sometimes I'm in too much of a hurry. I sometimes wonder if I could have accidentally been one of the religious people in the Good Samaritan story because I'm in a hurry. And I always plan towards the moment. I don't plan ahead. And I usually work up until the showtime. And so I have to get there. And I remember one time I was going to seminary in my usual last second get ready, last second speed to get into the class, saw somebody pushing the car, and I said, Lord, I can't stop to help them because I'm on my way to seminary to learn how to be a good Christian. It's like, oh, okay. I don't know if this is going to work. Let me have a little bit of fun with you. This one missionary, he's dealing with a tribe that was the most vicious kind of people he'd ever seen. If one of their tribe got a broken leg, nobody helped him. Somebody had a problem, they didn't fix it. The child was hurt, they just tossed the child aside. And so he didn't know how to get a hold of these people, but he stopped and fixed the broken leg of the senior, and he healed the child of its illness, and he took care of everybody that had a problem. And so finally, this vicious people who lived by the law of the jungle, said, so why are you doing this? And that kindness is what gave him the opportunity to introduce Jesus. So I guess I'm just trying to show you different angles in the real world, in the missionary world, in our private world, in our academic world, in your marriage world, how Christianity works. Kindness. How about this? John Wesley. Do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all the times you can, to all the people you can, as long as you can. Amen.